Hey, everybody. We are really glad you're here. This is a really important panel for me as a caregiver. And one of the first things that caregivers hear is you can't pour from an empty cup all the time. And yet, most caregivers are pouring anyway, giving everything they have, often on very little sleep, very little support, and very little time for themselves. So today's conversation is about flipping that script, not in a perfectionist way and not with another impossible to-do list, because we all have too many of those, but with realistic, science-backed ways to care for your own brain and your own body so you can keep showing up in a way that is sustainable. We are joined, and we're missing one of our panelists. She's going to pop in. We're missing Annie Finn, but we have Julie Fratantoni and Kirti Khalsa, who each bring a different lens, but share the same goal, helping caregivers thrive, not just survive. Because when you take care of yourself, it doesn't just help you, it helps the person you love too. So I want to start with, I'll start with Kirti. The Alzheimer's. Hi, honey. First of all, I want you to share a little bit about yourself and what you do. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Thank you. I'm the co-founder and CEO of the Alzheimer's Research and Prevention Foundation. I'm originally from Italy, although I've been here 33 years. And I've always had a passion for my elders. And, this was a perfect fit for me as life sometimes makes it happen. And then, about 4 years ago, my mom was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and now my dad has also dementia.
Oh,
and so it's touching me very deeply. And I'm just honored to be here. And I just want to thank the organizers for inviting me and thank each one of you for being here. And please know that we care for you, we support you. And so reach out anytime to get help or get information or tools. So thank you, Yvette.
So I don't know if you all know, I've been a caregiver for the last 12 and a half years for my dad who has Alzheimer's. So I understand where you are, Kirti. I know the journey that you're on. I wanted to ask you a question about the Alzheimer's Prevention Resource Foundation. It promotes something called Curtin Kriya as a simple, accessible practice backed by science for folks who are stressed, exhausted, and short on time. So tell me more about what it is, why does it work so well for stress reduction, and how can it benefit those of us who are caregivers pouring from an empty cup often?
So, yes. So our program is really a four-step program, which is based on the four pillars of Alzheimer's prevention, which Dr. Julie Fratantoni is going to address, and Dr. Annie Fenn are going to address, most of them. What is really unique about us is about this yoga approach. And so in the last 23 years, we've carried out a number of research studies on Kirtan Kriya, which is a simple 12-minute meditation that touches your fingertips, and you say certain sounds in sequence. And it has like a flow of meditation, 2 minutes out loud, 2 minutes in a whisper, 4 minutes silently, and then back 2 minutes in a whisper, 2 minutes out loud. And we've discovered, in a nutshell, that this 12 minutes improve your memory, improve your genetic makeup, your gene expression, improves mood, decreases inflammation, and so many other benefits. And so basically the bottom line is, for us, is the message is start your day in a positive way. Mm-hmm. So as far as I'm concerned, as a yoga teacher myself and a yoga practitioner, this is something we can do even in bed when we first wake up, just to change your mind, change your chemicals, set yourself right, bring healing to your body, your mind, your spirit, so that you can be the best for yourself in your life and the best caregiver you can be.
Love it. I love it. How do we find out about this? Do we find this out by coming to your foundation, or is there something online we can get to find out about it?
So yes, alzheimersprevention.org is the website, but also I am so happy to give this as a gift to everyone here today. I gave the link to download it for free.
Oh,
and so the people that are handling the back end have the link. They'll post it here. So everybody, please, download it. It's beautiful music. You just follow along, and just you'll feel much better.
That's the best gift, the best gift. I'm going to move over to you, Dr. Fratantoni. You are a cognitive neuroscientist, a skilled science communicator, and the author of a weekly Substack newsletter called Better Brain that breaks down neuroscience and has over, I want you to give me the new number because I have old information. How many subscribers do you have as of today? Let me tell you
174,000.
something. That is double what I had on my notes. So congratulations on that.
Thank
Can
you.
you tell us more about yourself, more about your Substack? Tell us a little bit. Take us into your world.
Sure. Well, I fell in love with the brain and ways to really help it thrive when I first started my PhD program. This was, gosh, 13 years ago now. But, and then so I've been fascinated by trying to understand just more about it and what is possible. And then on the personal side, my mother has Alzheimer's and was officially diagnosed a year and a half ago. But just this past November, I became her caregiver, and so moved her here to Dallas with me, and have just been navigating a lot with that. And so I have two very different sides or perspectives to bring to the table today, and just have so much empathy and compassion for everyone out there that is also caregiving, because it is just not easy. And so just want to say that, yeah, my heart has just expanded to contain both more grief and more joy in this process.
The way that I've described it in my life is that it's either the best tough thing I've ever done or the toughest best thing I've ever done. And that changes, from day to day. Can you share with us what's one small science-backed habit that can make a noticeable difference in how caregivers feel from day to day?
Yeah, I struggled with this because I was like, man, I've got tips for days, right? Science-backed tips for ways for people to improve their brain. And having just as I'm walking through this myself, a lot of them almost feel silly to even say, because at least for me, which I feel very much still in it, and I recognize that there are so many different stages and phases of a caregiving journey, and also depending on the type of, disease or illness that you are a caregiver for, can really vary your experience. But one common thread I see a lot, and just what I'm currently experiencing, is just being in survival mode. And when you're in survival mode, the last thing you need is another habit, another thing to worry about. And so my tip actually is just really to emphasize the importance of rest. And so that, you may be, you hear all the time, I'm obviously hyper aware of the effects of stress and things on the brain. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, am I shaving years off my life, right? Like, what's happening now? And not to doom and gloom that, but just to say, one of the things that I do know that's really important to prioritize is rest. And I know that's something that is very hard, because we can feel guilty, or we can feel like, gosh, there's so much to do, or that's unproductive. But I want you to know from a scientific perspective that rest is one of the best gifts that you can give your brain, to allow it to recharge, to help buffer and strengthen it against some of that stress, and to, just build a little bit of resilience. So, and that rest can look a lot of different ways. So one way that it could be just taking really short breaks throughout the day. And so this is something I recommend for people in the workforce as well. But just being able to pause even for just 30 seconds to a minute. And so maybe that's you go in the bathroom and shut the door, or, you step outside or look out the window, but just taking a couple minutes. And it is not goal oriented. So there's no outcome we're looking for. You're not trying to meditate. There's nothing you need to do. You just need to have no new input. So no music, no podcast, we're not scrolling. Scrolling's not rest. TV isn't rest, but true deep rest of just a break. And that can be really powerful. And so you can, slot those in, whether it's just for the first few minutes you're awake, you're just before you start everything at night, right before you go to bed. Maybe you bring in these pauses before or after meals, right? Kind of these logical times where you can just sort of sit for a second. And again, it doesn't need to be long, just a couple of minutes. Give yourself permission to rest.
I was about to say, I can't believe I didn't start this way, but then as a caregiver, I do understand why I didn't start this way, because we aren't often asked sincerely, how are you? I feel that caregiving a lot of times is a very solitary enterprise. Often it falls on one or two people in the family, and the rest of the family has no idea what the day-to-day is. So I want to ask each of you ladies as you navigate the caregiving journey, how are you? I'm going to start with Kurti. How are you? How are you doing?
I'm grieving.
Yeah.
I'm grieving.
Yeah.
And yet, I have to hold the other opposite side of finding, life and joy and purpose
Yeah.
in my, the rest of me.
Right.
And so it's not easy. It's not easy. But, being here, I know it's a very large community. There is a saying, if you haven't been a caregiver, you will be.
Will be.
And if you haven't received caregiving, you will give
Will.
caregiving.
That's right.
So it's a very large community, and it's if we can allow our heart to open to that, like Julie just said, it just gives a lot of hope.
Yeah, what I say all the time is that this is something that before you leave here, you will be a caregiver or a caregivee. No one misses it. And listen, parents are caregivers, so that definitely is true for every single person. Uh, Dr. Julie, how are you?
I have such a hard time answering that
I
question
know you do. I know you
because
do.
I feel, yeah, it's like in some ways, this is one of the most stressful experiences of my life. And in other ways, it's been a huge blessing and gift to have this time with her and to kind of re get to know each other, to get to know this version of her or the version of her in this stage of life, and to kind of establish a new relationship and form new memories and to have the opportunity to do that, I'm grateful for. So, and then also just feeling really humbled by my own community and the support that I've received, and just seeing it's like when you have that opportunity for people to fill. So learning to receive anyway. So I think I've been humbled in a really good way by just the outpouring of kindness that I've received from people. So it's a mixture, yeah. And it's like I'm well, I'm supported, but I'm also still very much in the middle of processing and experiencing it and grieving.
How new is it for you? How long has it been since you've brought your mother?
Oh, just a few months. So it's
Oh,
like been a
yeah, yeah.
whole new
Oh,
normal every
oh,
day.
you're right. You're right in the thick of it. I often say about caregiving that it's just love, right? And so often when we are, when it's thrust upon us, because no one, usually you don't know what's going to happen. You just look up and say, oh, okay, I got to get mom, I got to get dad. So it becomes that. And so it feels like, can I do this? And I want to encourage you, Julie, that you can. And I want to encourage you that you will meet a lot of versions of your mother on this journey. There will be so many different versions. Some will stay for an hour or two. Some will stay for a month or two. Some will stay for the duration, right? So just remember that when it's tough, it is the disease
Yeah.
and not your mama. That's the first thing I want to say. And I know you know this because you're a neuroscientist, but I'm telling you this from down the road. I'm 12 years down the road, and I want to tell you the other thing that I want you to remember always is that it is such an honor to be a caretaker of her memories. You get to tell her about her life. There is nothing more beautiful than reminding her of how she met your daddy and what she did when she worked and how she raised you. It's a gift for you to create wonder in her eyes as you explain how phenomenal she is. So I want you to remember that as well and to see, right? Curdy, you get it. To see it as a honor and a gift and a privilege. And you are very strong for making this decision because many don't and many can't. And the fact that you can and you did is very beautiful. So I want to encourage you in that way. Okay. And same thing to you, Curdy, because I know you're in the thick of it too. I'm going to come back to you, Curdy. How can caregivers identify what truly restores them versus what just sounds good on paper? And is there a way that you know it in yourself when you know this is the thing? For me, a point of personal privilege, it was Lego for me. If I sit down and build some Lego, my brain shuts off. The part of my brain that worries and is stressed shuts off, and I get to focus on that one thing. So what is that for you, and how can you tell when something is the right thing for someone?
So everybody's different, right? And everybody's at a different stage of life and point of life. I would say, well, for me, it for sure is nature.
Mm,
Be in nature. There've been even studies, I'm sure, Julie, you know this better than I do. Even people in very dire health situations, people that had one plant in their house and in their room, did better than people that had no connection to the outside.
Wow. Wow.
So, so if that's one way to kind of reconnect with something that is not our head, right, or our healing heart, is be outside and recharge. And I feel it's a challenge for each one of us to know what is it that really nurtures you, right? Or it could be exercise, it could be cooking. I love cooking,
I
right?
believe it. Yes.
But you need to be present to do that. And sometimes you just don't have that mental space or
Yeah.
that time. So I would say, like, listen to yourself, go back, see what other people have tried. I know that sometimes it's just so overwhelming that it's hard to know, right? But if we can rest and give us that little space to sort of acknowledge and recognize what is good, what is happening that is good, that is recharging, that is nurturing, that is fighting that stress, the huge amount of stress that we're under. That's what I would recommend. Sorry, I don't have one
No,
thing,
no, it's
but
I love it. That was great. Nature is something that I probably need to touch. And they say the saying, need to go touch some grass. I think that's what it is. I think something about grounding yourself is lovely. Dr. Fratantoni, is there a certain practice you can think of that is easy enough for a caregiver to start this week that will support their brain and their body?
So this isn't so much of a practice. I did want to circle back even to the question you just were talking about,
Good. Get in there. Get in there.
of sometimes of if you're where you don't know where to start is to think back to what you loved doing as a kid and when you
I
just
love
felt
that.
your freest and most fun. And so for me, that was swimming, which there's not really a pool. I didn't need to figure that out here, but
Yes.
yeah, those things that just make you feel like you come alive. And so I love that you said Legos because it's like that is a very just when you can tap into that sense of play and wonder, is really great. So just those things that capture your attention and spark joy.
Yeah,
But
it's beautiful that you said that. I want to jump back into what you just said. I often, when I talk to children, I always say when they say they don't know what they want to be, or even if it's adult, they don't know what they want to be. You're right. The magic of childhood, the thing that we did when we had nothing else to do, our homework was done, we had eaten dinner, and we had that hour, that magic hour, I call it the magic hour, to do whatever we wanted. The roots of who you are and what you should do is in that hour. And now you just reminded me that what will relieve your stress is also can be found in what you did in that hour. Did you color? Did you listen to music? Did you read a book? It's in there. But I don't mean to cut you off. The one thing someone can
yeah.
do today that's
Yeah,
easy.
no, that's wonderful. I yeah, so I again, this maybe isn't a like a habit for it is a habit for yourself. And so this is the reframe here. But it's asking someone for help. And so
Woo!
and
How do you do it? You know how to do it? I don't know how to do it. You know how to do it?
it's very hard and it requires, but I one something I've been thinking about a lot lately is that a sign of a healthy brain is one that knows how to ask for help and receive it.
Wow.
And it really requires humility. It requires, but it creates what's interesting is that what builds trust is not when you offer help, but when you receive it. And so giving people an opportunity to feel purpose, to, extend that trust building. So you're getting the benefit of not only are you receiving help in whatever form you ask for, but then you're also getting that increased trust and social connection, which we
Right.
know is imperative. And so for me, this last couple months has been a masterclass in being so thankful for community and people, and that truly you cannot do this alone. And the brain is wired to thrive with social connection. So yeah, so it's asking for help, and also tying back to what I said earlier about the prefrontal cortex, or maybe I didn't even mention this. That's another thing. Stress affects your memory. So
Yes,
I've
yes, it
had a
does.
lot of conversations today, but when you are in that survival mode or just stress in general, because there's so many emotions that you're processing in real time between whether it be grief or sadness or guilt or whatever it is, that's keeping the limbic emotional systems parts of the brain driving, and the prefrontal cortex is off. And so the prefrontal cortex is what helps you with rational thinking, critical thinking, making decisions. And as a caregiver, you're making a lot of important decisions for yourself and your person. And so when you're in that state, this is where these all tie together, is that you're going to ask for help, but you're going to say, I don't even know what I need help with, right? Or I need to rest, or I need to figure out a way to, take care of my own doctor's appointments, or I need to make time for fun or for play or for whatever it is, and just say, can you help me figure out how to do that? Or can you help me figure out the next right step? And if you don't have a friend or family member or person that you can reach out to, you can also always call I believe the Alzheimer's Association. They have a 24/7 hotline. There's some type of, and they'll help find you a community program, something where like you can get an hour break, or you can schedule those things, but to not overwhelm yourself with like, okay, now I have to figure out how to map this out, but to just go to someone and say, you can outsource. So lean on their frontal lobe, right? And just help them help you create the next step. And so if you can be asking for help every single day, something small as can you call and schedule this, or can you, delegating. I mean, that's a cognitive skill that is important for brain health. So it seems simple, but not easy.
It's funny, you mentioned people not asking for help might be a sign of their pride, or I'm realizing too that it's also because guilt is so built into caregiving. You always feel like you haven't done enough. You should be doing more. Why don't I know how to do this better? It's my mom or my dad. I should know how to make them happy. Like, it's all of those things that we go through, right? I think sometimes the not asking for help also is attached to the idea of, this is what I chose to do, and it's no one else's job to do what I took on myself, right? Or built in also is the fear that I need it, but what if I ask and no one wants to help me? Then I have to deal with the rejection of that moment as well. So I think, though I agree, and you've just given me some tools for how to do it, and I also just realized how unhealthy my brain is because I never ask for help. But it's needed, and so I'm glad you said that, so that those that are in here learning from us, and as I learned from you too, that it's okay to say I haven't figured it out. It's okay to say, I'm drowning. Can you help me? Or I'm afraid I'm about to drown. Can you help me? In that vein, what does burnout look like before it's a crisis? And what can caregivers do at an earlier stage to make sure it doesn't completely deconstruct? What are some signs that you might need to take a break right now? You're about to lose it. Either one or both.
I think, well, I also just want to add one more thing I thought of. It's just to say,
this is a free for all. So if you have something, if I don't ask the question or ask
you're good.
Else, please get in, please.
I was just thinking also, a lot of people will be like, oh, if you need to vent or this and that. I'm like, I don't need a vent. I need someone to do things. And so I think just also being able to articulate, like, when I'm coming to you for help, I need you to be a problem solving partner. Like, I want you to help me problem solve, or I want you to help me find a solution. Or sometimes I don't want that. And I just want you to listen, and I want you to know what I'm going through, so I don't feel alone, right? Being able to preface what you're asking for so that they know. And I will also say that I've been so blown away that every time I have asked for help, the answer has always been yes. And so just to get over that fear, and to know that that may not always be the case, but that to feel proud of yourself, and to know that you're taking a step to take care of your own brain by doing that. So just want to get that out there. But as far as burnout, I mean, I think when you start to notice resentment, when you start to notice just constant irritability, anger, right? It's that emotional tone, right? And when you just are just feeling cranky and like irritated by every little thing, to me, that's one flag that I would note.
What do you think?
And when you start not sleeping, loss of sleep, right? Because I think that's one way that it really manifests. And absolutely, yes, irritability and grumpiness.
And the loss of sleep will only compound that irritability and grumpiness.
Yeah. Those are probably the same things that we can see in someone else that will lead us to want to help, right? Because sometimes, as caregivers, we're not delightful to be around because we're dealing with so much. And but it kind of would be nice if someone can see ooh, she's a little moody today, or oh, she's a little short with me today. There must be something, to understand that it's not personal. It's just we're really fighting for the lives of our person. We're fighting for their dignity. We're fighting for their health care, fighting for their memory, like all of the things. And so it's again, going back to the idea that caregiving is love, then that means those of us that are giving the care are giving love, and those that are caring for the caregivers are also extending love. How do you think is best for us to move from short-term survival to a more sustainable caregiving rhythm? I'll start with you, Kirti.
I think having the experience that you can regenerate, regenerate your well-being and yourself and bring yourself into balance. I think that would be the first step to really, because I mean, we probably understand it, mentally and cognitively, we understand that, but to have that experience. And sometimes, like you said, with the Lego, it's like, oh, yeah, there's something else here, right? That we lost track of.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I would say is find that experience of sort of changing the channel.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's absolutely what we used to do when we were kids, and what brought us joy then, and sometimes it's not. Sometimes we're not even able to go there.
Mm-hmm.
Find that experience. What is it? So I guess my answer tends to be go inside, get to know yourself, watch yourself, see what triggers you, but also what makes you happy, what makes you go to sleep okay at night,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and get sleep.
But yeah, how about you, Dr. Julie?
I mean, yeah, I think from being in the midst of this myself, I think it's getting kind of establishing what the new normal is, what a sustainable new normal is, and it takes a bit of trial and error to figure that out. And it's not something that you can do alone either. So again, just inviting in friends, community, to help you think through, what levers can I pull here so that I make sure that, my mom's taken care of, mom or dad or whoever is taken care of, but that I'm also being taken care of. And it just requires to shift from survival mode to feeling safe. You have to feel safe, right? So it's like, what do I need to feel safe? Do I need reassurance of X, Y, and Z? Do I need to get these, I don't know, financial, legal things in order? Do I need it's just like the list, it feels like a never ending list, but I think when you can just get it on paper and just have clear, here are these next steps, or here are these things that helps, it brings me comfort to feel like, okay, I can, and I think that, my mantra has been taking things one day at a time, which is huge, but also can sort of keep you in fight or flight, right? In a sense. So there's a way of just like, all right, I don't need to have everything else figured out. I can just figure out today, but also that I have an overall rhythm. And I think one of those big pieces is the sleep piece. And so if sleep is affected, or like, for example, when I first brought my mom here, it was pretty unplanned. So like she was just sleeping in my bed, in my room with me. Right. And so, but then she was getting up really early, and so it was disrupting my sleep. And I was like, okay, the sleep is the one non-negotiable for me from a brain perspective. And so that looks like, that may be a harder conversation if like it's your spouse or your partner or whoever, right? And so what does sleep divorce look like? But knowing that those are steps that might be important, right? It's like, okay, we got to get a futon and have it, get something else, at least temporary, so I can get my feet under me. So I think knowing that supporting yourself with sleep and leaning on the prefrontal cortex of your friends can then help you get in a place where you can feel like you can move into just a better rhythm. And what's hard is that the target's always moving. So it's like, this will be the rhythm for this season, and then we'll reevaluate and establish another one.
Right. I've never heard the phrase sleep divorce, and that's
Me neither.
I love it though, because there are times like my husband loves to watch TV as he goes to sleep, and so sometimes he's watching something very loud, and so that and he's in the room, so he's giggling right now because he knows that he does that. Kirsty, I want to come back to you. Your foundation, the Alzheimer's Prevention Research Foundation, what have you learned that you can share about prevention?
Well, may I tag onto what
Absolutely. Whatever it is, tag on.
I was thinking about, changing the rhythm. And one thing that is really important is the idea of self-love, that
Mm,
we can create our own self-love, because
yeah.
especially at times when we're depleted, we're stressed, we have so many responsibilities and sometimes very, significant responsibilities, right? Caring for someone. And so we need, if we're lucky, we have, partners and friends and family that are supportive. And still the idea, it's really important, and it's part of the yoga path, is really to create that self-love, that self-nurturing, and we are able to do it for ourselves. We
Mhm.
don't just have to rely on someone else. And that's also, part of the effects of meditating and, doing yoga, if someone is into that or has time to practice. So to go back to your question, so we started 33 years ago when, I kid you not, most people had never really heard of the word Alzheimer's.
Sure.
And there was very little mention of this disease, and let alone, the prevention aspect. And so I will say that in our advocacy work and then research, of course, we've been, we've been really determined in establishing Alzheimer's as actually a preventable disease. So as many of our colleagues, Dr. Fan, Dr. Fratantoni, know, it's such a complex disease that we can't just say it's one size fits all.
Yeah.
And so therefore, and because the brain is so plastic, and it can regenerate itself, it can, accommodate for, for healing, even in case of a TBI, traumatic or stroke. So we know this, and so we know that Alzheimer's can be prevented in some cases, of
Mhm.
course. And so the key is really how you live your lifestyle.
Mhm.
As I mentioned, we broke it down to 4 pillars of Alzheimer's prevention, and then of course over the years, other items, have been researched and discovered, and so there's more than 4.
Mhm.
But essentially, it's about the diet that you follow, and really across your lifespan, um, your stress. And
Mhm.
right now, stress is just unbelievable that we're under as a caregivers.
Yeah.
Number one, as our world, our
Mhm.
wars, and
Women,
all
yeah.
these
Mhm.
women. And then physical mental exercise is crucially important. So, all these studies that Dr. Fratantoni has done demonstrate how beneficial it is to your brain. And so, and spirituality, give it what gives you meaning.
Mm.
That's so it's been studied and proven that even, people that have some cognitive decline, if they, for example, I am part of Rotary,
Mhm.
and you see, even older adults go out and volunteer and, build things. We see, Habitat for Humanity, right? People go out and help other people. This gives you meaning, and of course, it also gives you the opportunity to be among similar like-minded people that enjoy being together. It creates camaraderie. It really stimulates your brain, your curiosity, your interest,
Mhm.
and so many other things. And I will add one more thing we're just sort of launching is air pollution. Air pollution is one becoming an important part of what affect because something that affects your brain and can
Really?
affect. Yes, I am not a scientist, so I can't really speak in great detail about this.
Mhm.
We're publishing papers and holding, webinars and things about this. So if people Google it, they can learn more. Unless Dr. Julie, you would like to jump in there if you know more about it. Um, but that's an additional, we call it now the fifth pillar. So, but there is, just to say, there is a lot that we can do.
Mhm.
And we're all about empowering everyone around us, to make the right decisions and the right choices to improve their health, their body health, of course, and their brain health.
Yeah. Dr. Julie, do you want to jump in and share something that you know or have discovered in your research about prevention?
Sure. I mean, okay, well, sleep we already touched on the importance of that and
Talk on
prioritizing
sleep.
sleep. Um, I think, a big one that you don't hear about as much about is the cognitive exercise piece. And I think, as I mentioned, that can tend to go offline just in the midst of a lot of the emotional and survival mode. And so making sure that you are not so just emotionally exhausted and from the emotional load that you're carrying, that you aren't still being cognitively challenged in good ways. And so I say that as a caveat because I think a lot of, one of like I have, what you need to keep a muscle healthy is for it to have the right level of challenge and stimulus, right? Or it can't grow or it'll just actually atrophy. And so similar with the brain, but also to know that if your body, like if you are feeling sick and under the weather, then that's maybe not a good time to exercise because your body's already under stress. So
Right.
there's a balance here of knowing, if you're already maxed out, you don't need to be worrying about additional things. But what I'm talking about here is not like, the type of brain exercise that's going to push you over the edge, right? It's just making sure that you are engaging in things that are cognitively stimulating. So that's that you're curious about something. I don't know, if you love cooking and you want to try a new recipe or you get a new cookbook, right? Like those types of challenges that where learning doesn't really feel like learning. That's a huge area for you to engage your brain in a positive way. And a lot of times, it's like, gosh, you're having to adapt to new normals and learn new things all the time that you maybe didn't want to learn. So making sure that there are some in there that you do actually enjoy, I think can be huge. And then, and so, yeah, that's on the prevention side. And then I did have some other thoughts about just in terms of a very small tip that I think can
Yeah.
make a big difference is you oftentimes it can feel really out of control, right? You can't control what's happening. You can't control just the state of affairs, but you can control your thoughts. And so you can control especially your first thoughts in the morning. And so that first thought before you even get out of bed, you get to choose what that is. And so I love this is a BJ Fogg who wrote Tiny Habits, if anyone's ever read that, but his he calls it his Maui habit, but it's like before his feet hit the floor and he gets out of bed, he says today is going to be a great day. And
Oh,
you can come up with whatever version you want, something similar, make it yours, but then it's training your brain to then look for great things.
yeah.
And so that's one really small thing that I think can set the tone and set your mindset for your day and your mood.
Yeah, but we all know that works, right? Because you see a red, you want a red Ferrari, and then you get on the road and you see 1,000 red Ferraris. Like what you put in your mind is what you ultimately see, good and bad. So that's good. Set the intention for the day. I want to stay with you, Dr. Fratantoni, and ask you to tell us more because we're going to join the 170,000 followers of Better Brain as soon as we get out of this Zoom. So
Thanks.
I'm wondering, can you tell us a little more about what we'll find when we get there? What do you write about? What is, what delights you about this research and this in your field? Share with us.
Yes. Well, so one of my favorite things to do is to break down science and research studies in ways that are easy for people to understand and use in their life. So my whole thing is making them concise and actionable because I sure know you don't have time to dig through all that. So I'm giving you the bullet points, right? Of like, here's the takeaway, here's how you take the science and put it into your life so that you can have a better brain and the people around you can too. And so I write about like things like ways to increase neuroplasticity, ways to engage with technology in a healthy way. I recently wrote about guilt as something that I've been experiencing a lot, and what are ways to, handle guilt and reframing around that. And then, yeah, everything from creativity to I cover all sorts of topics, but we'll definitely be sharing more behind the scenes of my own caregiving personal experience and then also weaving science into that as well. But the premise of what I'm writing about primarily is this idea of cognitive longevity and just the ways that your environment, your habits, your lifestyles, the way everything you're doing is shaping your brain, and that you have agency. You get to be the architect of your brain. And so, a lot of times it can feel very reactive, like you're just having to react and keep up to things. And so, really helping you switch gears to be proactive so you can be on offense instead of defense.
Yeah. What is it, Kirti, what is it about yoga that is so healing in your mind? Like I've practiced it before. I can't say that I'm great at it, but I do try. But I do know that when I'm in the midst of doing it, I do feel calm. Like, because I'm so focused on holding the position and breathing. I'm so focused on the breathing and staying in the position that it's kind of like Lego. Everything just kind of falls away, but hold that hero's pose, or that child's pose or whatever. So, what do you think it is about yoga that is great for our brains, which you already know, but also just great for our well-being in general? And I think every caregiver would love to know more if they don't already know.
So yoga is really about bringing balance between your body, your mind, and your spirit. And so it's the different poses and the different sets, even the very simple sets are designed, it's like a prescription, are designed to bring these elements in harmony. And so that creates healing. It creates an environment where your body calms down, right? Your mind quiets down. You're kind of just experience more self-awareness. And that's the healing process
Yeah.
in a nutshell. I'm actually in the process of writing a white paper on yoga and healthy aging.
Mhm.
And well, I will stop because Dr.
We got someone that popped in that we've been waiting for. We got 15 minutes just for you, girl. This is for you.
Thanks for waiting, everybody. Sorry, I had a little trouble getting connected.
Oh, no, we're happy to have you. So everybody, Dr. Finn has joined us, and let me just say a little bit. Well, actually, I want you to share a little bit about yourself. As everyone came in, they shared. I'll share what I have, and then you can join in. So Dr. Finn is the founder of the Brain Health Kitchen. It is I love this so much. It's the only cooking school of its kind focused exclusively on brain health and helping people prevent cognitive decline through food and lifestyle. And she was also a practicing physician for 20 years. Is there anything else you want to share about your life and your journey before I ask my questions to you?
Well, my whole journey from being a doctor to like opening a cooking school and now being in education for Alzheimer's prevention. I mean, I have my mom to thank for it. I
Mm,
was, it was when she was diagnosed with mild cognitive impairment that, I had this epiphany literally that everything about my background was well suited to help people fend off this disease or
yeah.
slow it down if they have early stages of it. So I
Mhm.
really have my mom to thank. She was diagnosed with MCI, an early form of Alzheimer's, in 2015. And at that point, I'd already given up my practice. I'd gone to culinary school. I was teaching healthy cooking in my community. And then when my mom was diagnosed, I really went down a rabbit hole of research to
Mhm.
see if there was a link between nutrition and brain health. And indeed, there is. And
Wow.
that's why it's so important for caregivers to know that this is not just like healthy lifestyle in general. There is a lot of science to back up a brain healthy dietary pattern in
Mhm.
terms of reducing Alzheimer's and other types of dementias as well.
You
Well,
know,
that's my mission now.
yeah. They often say that caregivers put themselves last, right? So that means they often will eat last or they'll eat not at all. There's time to cook and they're racing to get it done. So what are realistic ways that a caregiver can nourish their brain and their body when they are so depleted of energy?
It's such a good question. And I think that a little bit of organization with your food and your meal planning can go a long way. I know this caregiving for my mom. She lived with the disease for 10 years, just like Julie and Kirti here. Like, we've all having or are having the same journey.
Yeah,
And you have to be very particular about, planning meals for yourself, not just for your loved one.
yeah,
If
yeah,
you're at home all day, taking care of someone or being with someone, then even just like a few simple things like boiling some eggs, poaching some chicken, having some salmon that's cooked, taking some tofu and blotting it dry and throwing in the air fryer, just having
yeah.
some good protein sources available, I think is really good. Another thing I'd like to do is have boxed salad mixes that are
Hmm.
pre-washed. You know those triple washed salad greens you
Yeah.
get at the grocery store? You don't have to do anything to them. You can take a handful from the container to the bowl, wash them, spin them, dry them, anything. And then also having like a salad dressing. I usually would like make a batch of salad dressing that would last a week for
Yeah.
all of my salads. And and just really setting aside time to do some very like the simplest of meal planning.
Yeah. In your opinion, Dr. Finn, if a caregiver could only focus on one area between sleep, stress reduction, food, movement, connection, where do you think is the most important thing to start with? I know Dr. Julie would say sleep because we have talked about the sleep. I think stress is important, but what do you think is the thing if we had to pick if there was a ticking time bomb of all of those in a caregiver's life, what is the one we need to diffuse as quickly as possible?
I agree with Julie. I say sleep because
Mhm.
if you're not getting at least adequate and some good quality sleep, it's really hard to do the other things. It's
Yeah.
hard to meditate. It's hard to meal plan. It's hard to get even small amounts of exercise. Like without sleep, everything breaks down. And I know it's really difficult, especially if your loved one is up at night
Yeah.
or if you're trying to catch up on work in the evenings. There's all sorts of scenarios that
Yeah.
will steal your sleep away. But the most important thing is to go to bed at the same time, try to get up at the same time, just
Mhm.
do your best. And then the other things will fall into place more easily.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you this. Is there a certain food that is like a superfood for brain health that will help in prevention? Is it almonds? Is it what is it? Little piece of
No, no, I love that
chicken?
question. I do think of them as superfoods, but it's better to think in food groups
Yeah.
instead of superfoods because
Okay.
it's really not just one or two things. Though the almonds are great, blueberries are great, salmon's great. It's not just one thing. It's really a pattern of eating. And this is what the science has shown us. There are certain brain protective dietary patterns that, if followed over time, can reduce Alzheimer's risk, for example, by as much as 53%. And so
Mm,
it means choosing foods from different brain healthy food groups, which
right.
includes, vegetables, leafy greens, nuts and seeds, whole grains, extra virgin olive oil efficiency food,
Mm,
poultry if you're a meat eater, includes these things.
yeah. We're winding down, but I wanted to give each of you a chance to just one encourage caregivers even in the midst of our individual journeys, because you weren't here when I shared this, Dr. Finn, but I've been a caregiver for my father for 12 years, Alzheimer's. So I've been on the journey in the thick of it. But I think it's important when we're all together like this, and also with the people that were kind enough to join us. If you have a word of wisdom that you want to share, something that you can encourage others as you encourage yourself, or share something that you want people to take away from this time we've all had together as they go on to continue their journey caring for others. We'll start with you, Curdy. I'd love starting with you.
I would say, please feel loved, and you have love in your life. We all do,
Mhm.
and it goes. Everything is about love. I mean, that's where we come from, hopefully,
Mhm.
and find the love, nurture that love, even if it's making a phone call to your best friend,
Yeah,
and love yourself, that you're worth the sleep, the nutrition, and the taking care of yourself, and reach out. There's so many organizations out there that want to help you, so reach out.
I love it. Dr. Finn?
I would say, I don't know how to say this, but in the later stages of my mom's journey with Alzheimer's, and she's passed now,
Sorry.
It gets tough, right? It gets really tough.
Yeah.
And the thing that I kept coming back to is, what is this teaching me? What is she trying to teach me? What am I learning? What will I think about after she's gone?
Yeah.
And that brought me a lot of grace with the situation, and I still think about that. I still
Yeah.
think about a lot of those, moments in the last several months that were really difficult and trying. It's
Yeah.
difficult when you're going through it, but if you can maybe step away a little bit and ask yourself, what am I learning? And as we know as caregivers, it's there's silver linings. It's one of the gifts is that joy, that being in the present moment and recognizing how important that is. And most people don't think about it much anymore. And also, being with someone in spirit, even when their mind is gone.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
Just a different way of being with them.
Yeah. I've found that myself. My dad is he's pretty much nonverbal now. When he does speak, it's gibberish, and I've learned one of the beautiful things about being an actor is that we learn about improv, and improv is all yes and. So my dad will say, "Oh, well, the train is." I say, "Is it coming, Daddy? What color is the car?" "It's red." "Is it? Where we going?" "Well, I think we better get on." "Well, let's get on the train, Daddy." And so it's become, as I said earlier to you, Julie, we're caretakers of their memories, right? And so we're also, the orchestrator of their joy and their folly and their whimsy, right? They're trying to still communicate in a way that they can. And so I've decided that I'm going to join him. Wherever we're going today, I'm going to go. Walking in a meadow of daisies, back at his job at the middle school where he was a custodian for 35 years, I can go there with him. So it's such a beautiful thing to be able to be a yes and person for your person. Now I'm going to come over to you, Dr. Fratantoni. Lord, I've said it wrong like 5 times. I'm so
You've
sorry.
been doing great. No.
I've been saying Dr. Julie because it's just easier to say Dr. Julie.
You can say Dr. Julie. You can call me Julie.
Thank you, hon.
Yeah.
So what do you want to leave us with? How do you want to encourage us and yourself in this journey?
Okay, 2 things.
Yes.
And literally I had them in my head and now I can't remember the second one. So we'll just see, this is me on the spot. But I'll start with the first one and hopefully it'll come as I'm saying the first one. The first one, it came back. There we go. The first one is that you're not alone. And so I know it can feel really lonely, and especially right now, just like a lot of my friends are not dealing with this yet with their parents. Like I'm one of the first. And so that can feel lonely when they just can't understand. So you are not alone. And the second thing I want to say is that you're doing an amazing job.
Yeah, I love it. Well, this has been just a joy. And Dr. Finn, I'm so glad you popped in here because I just really wanted to hear from you. I want to, first of all, remind everyone in the audience that when this panel ends in a couple of seconds, there's a 5-minute intermission. And please come back and join us for the Scotty Award session. Dr. Julie Fratantoni, Curti, and Dr. Finn, I have loved this time. Thank you so much for talking with us. And we're going to be okay. That's what I want to say to each of us and everyone that's listening. We are going to take this journey. We're going to be strong on the other end, and our caregivees are blessed to have us all. And that's the reminder I want you all to have. And Dr. Julie, if you ever need me, I'm here for you because I'm a little bit down the road. Thank you so much, ladies. This has been wonderful.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, thanks. Bye, everybody.